LoreWarrior Online. The Mandrill. Overview. The Mandrill was the first of the so-called totem mechs designed to resemble a clan's totem animal. The design and production of the Mandrill battle mech was one of the last truly unified efforts of Clan Fire Mandrill before it shattered into the various Kindra. Designed by Kindra Payne, the Mandrill is notably simian in appearance, with bulky shoulders, long arms, and a cockpit resembling a Mandrill's face. It also has the unique ability to walk on two legs or to use its exaggerated arms to scoot along with a gait similar to that of a quad mech. Some commanders consider Mandrills to be an asset on the field. The pride of piloting the clan's totem mech makes their mech warriors perform at their peak, as well as spurring their comrades to the top. Others consider the Mandrill a second-rate machine, its special gait a hindrance. Detractors also point out that totem mechs create prime targets for enemy fire. Though still in use by all of the Kindra's second-line units, the Mandrill hasn't been produced in more than a century. Omnimechs use the same XL engine, endosteel, and other components that made the Mandrill a successful design, and those resources quickly allocated to production of the more standard combat machines. The Jade Falcons, however, impressed with the idea of a light, mobile, missile-firing mech, borrowed the Mandrill design and scaled it down to become the baboon design seen in many of their own second-line forces. Capabilities. Those Mandrills still operating continue to prove their worth in combat when required. With its devastating missile saturation assaults, a Mandrill can hold its own against any light mech and many medium-weight designs. Its armour is sufficient to keep it in battle, especially in the one-on-one duels that clans favour. The head-mounted small laser may seem extraneous, but in a Fire Mandrill assault against the failing Smoke Jaguar positions on the clan world of Atreus during the Inner Sphere attack, the Mandrill's small lasers allowed the mech to fight on once the missile bays ran empty. Deployment. Every Kindra keeps at least a star's worth of this mech in their second-line forces. Repairing and maintaining these machines is now considered the tech cast's most important duty. In 3058, Khan Amanda Carroll formally requested that Kindra sites retool their primary facility on the planet of Shadow to produce a limited number of Mandrills every year. Also, at the Khan's request, Kindra Sites has begun trading these mechs to other Kindra at a reasonable rate of exchange to ensure that the mech remains visible in all Fire Mandrill forces. Optimists amongst the Fire Mandrill see this as a sign of the dawn of a new age of cooperation among the Kindra, kindling hopes that their clan can once again emerge as a powerful, united force. So yeah, the Mandrill is a 30-ton light mech. Its chassis is the Process 12 Endo steel. The power plant is a Firebox 120 XL engine. Its cruise speed is 43 kph and its max speed is 65 kph with Type C medium lifting jump jets. Its jump capacity is 120 meters. Armour is compound FM3 ferrofibrous, and its armament is 2 Type 20 Great Bow LRM launchers and one Series 1 extended range small laser. Its manufacturer is Kindra Science primary production facility. Communication system is the JNE Integrated Communications, and targeting and tracking is the Mark IV tabletop simulator. So overall, this is a mech that translates into a 464 with its movement. It has 10 double heatsinks for a nice and cool 20 dissipation. And its armour is fairly generous for a 30-tonner. It has 8 on the head, 14 on the CT with 6 on the rear, 10 on each side torso with 4 on the rear, and then 10 in the arms and the legs. The missile complement is 1 LRM-20 in the left torso and 1 LRM-20 in the right torso, with 12 shots in each launcher, which is pretty generous ammo, with the ER small in the head and the jump jets located in the right and left torso. Not a bad, simple, straightforward design for a battle mech. I really quite like it. Visually, it might not be to many people's tastes, granted, but at least the idea in the writing is that it's supposed to emphasize the rather unusual appearance of the machine. So there is that at least. It's a cool mech, actually. A light mech that can drop 40 missiles on you. I mean, this thing's got the firepower of the support firepower of an archer for 30 tons. That's pretty damn impressive. Granted, it moves as fast as a heavy mech does, but that's still pretty good for a light star of clans to have that level of fire support. And on the table, 12 rounds of combined fire isn't bad at all, especially if you get a nice roll where you're getting into double figures on your d6s, getting anywhere between 10, 11 and 12, dropping nearly every missile onto a target. That's really going to start to stack up. Yeah, the art isn't bad for the machine. The ER small, it does say it's extraneous. It does at least give you the ability to shoot infantry and do fairly decent damage. The jump jets allow it to hop over certain elements of terrain that it can use for cover if it needs to. And yeah, overall, it's not a bad mech. It's certainly one that you might have first sort of looked down on, but once it starts raining missiles on you, that's going to be quite nasty. Definitely the kind of thing I could actually see Innisphere forces taking as a prize, like most clan mechs, but this one especially because, light mechs are particularly popular in certain factions within the Innisphere, so a light mech that's carrying this level of firepower is definitely worth being able to nab. The amount of the amount of concessions that would have to be made in an Innisphere version that would mount this kind of firepower is just too much. It just wouldn't be able to survive, but the armor alone isn't too bad. It can take a couple of decent hits on the CT before it goes internal. Even the inside torso is pretty well protected given its weight and the firepower. So, yeah, I mean, outside of the fact that it's got low speed, provided it's set up in the right position, it can still do some good work. So, yeah, decent mech. I like it. Yeah, the Mandrill. Fire Mandrill's totem mech. So, there you go. Alright, well, I've taken up enough of your time, as always. I am the Time Vampire, so I will catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening, as always, and hope you have a good week. Bye-bye.